Watches is something that, to be honest, is not a necessity anymore. It's more of an accessory. It tells about you. It tells about your personality. Hi, I'm Harman Wadhwa, a Swiss qualified watchmaker who has a state-of-the-art facility to undertake luxury watches, and it's called by the name of the Repair Hub. So today I'm here to share how I build and unwind. I started my career in 2012, but I have a rich history because I am come from a third generation of a watch industry where my Dadaji, who was a distributor for accessories across India, and then later my dad took it forward and he became one of the largest distributors for North India when it came to fashion watches and clocks. As I was working with dad in 2012, I felt the lack of the scope as how the markets were changing, and like the online was booming, and the middleman was not really required in that category. Then I said, Harman, if I want to be in this line, and I have to change something. But my father always wanted to me to be part of the line, as there's a legacy comes along and there's a lot of history to it. So I said, okay dad, let me think about it. Then eventually there was a day that I said, dad, you know what, I'm going to take care of the retail section, though we had already there from, it was established in 1995, which was known as the Time and Style. It was not our main thing, it was another set of business that we had. So I said that let me take care of that. So when I get into it, there was a lack of customers which I had to build. Then I said, dad, we need to do something. Then I said that for a customer to get in, you need a lot of money to spend for advertisements or hoardings at that point of time, or you need to have something that people come to you. Then I say, dad, let's take some after sale service centers for brands and start like an after sale service center according with the watches which are generally there but have a specialization. Then he said, okay, fine. Then we had obviously had relations we were working with. Then we said, what, why don't we get some we connected guests, GC, these brands, and we took the authorization for service. As we were working and I was taking care of this business, we really got the opportunity, where people started to say good things about our work, because I was very technically sound as a child. I may not be very good in studies, but as a child, when I had something goes wrong in the house, I was the one who's going to fix it. I was all the way for everyone in my whole building where I used to live. So that's something technically I was very inclined. So that's why I said to my dad, after sales service, something that I'm more interested in, so we can look into that. So in 2019, I had got an admission in that school, so I picked up KHWCC. It's from Locle, Switzerland, which is the hub of the watchmaking. All the manufacturers of the main known brands from Audemars, from Tissot, to all many brands you will find there in Locle. What my teacher taught me always, that Harman, as a Swiss qualified watchmaker, it's all about the intricacies and the perfection. While you're repairing a watch, while you're servicing a watch, or whatever, if you're even polishing the watch, it's all about the small details. You cannot just be okay if it's incorrect. It should be your personal perfection you need to have, and that's what is all about Swiss qualified. It's all about Swiss brands even. If you look any in a watch, it's all about the slightest detail. It's perfect. It's perfection. It is hard to get, but it takes time. It's just that you need to have that patience and that zeal to get that perfection. Then it's going forward about it. So when I was in Switzerland, when I was getting the teachings, one of the also things my sir also said that, Harman, watches is just not about wearing. It's about building an infrastructure where your cleanliness is maintained. That it's a clean room where we work in. Everything is just like no shoes allowed. There's a air purifier, because any small dust or dirt goes inside the watch, it is just not acceptable, because your watch may also get spoiled and it may not work, or also it's not aesthetically not pleasing to have fine dust in your watch. So that's something that cleanliness is utmost priority in Swiss watchmaking in any aspect, if you were working on the watch mechanically inside or from the outside when it comes to polishing. The first timepiece, I would say that I worked on a pocket watch that was a 6497 caliber by ETA, which was a manual wind, and it was the first. It was like, I always remember, because I made a lot of mistakes in that, and that was the moment which I learned my major understanding of mechanical watches in that mechanical movement of a pocket watch. So when I'm wearing a coat inside working on a watch, it's like a job I do. But when I'm taking that watch and when a person comes to me with his, that feelings and emotions when it comes to heirloom pieces or complicated pieces, I feel that, I feel their love in that watch when it is gifted by the partner or the grandparents, and unfortunately they are no more. So that is something that's very close to them. So when they give it to me, they give me with that trust. And I make sure that that whatever I promise them, whatever I do with sincerity and honesty, and give them what they expect from me to the best job, and they have no worries while working on them or while wearing them. See, a soft skill, obviously you need to have steady hands, you need to have patience, because if I'm working on a bench, if I'm sitting on the bench, it can just take 8 hours straight. But I think what is the major breakthrough which I got through is something that it's really important to to succeed in this, is to have that mindset to know where the mistake was and to find out the problem. Imagine yourself, you're going to the doctor and you said, I'm sick. We have to tell them the details, right? But sometimes in watchmaking, you have to find that out. Because until you don't find that out, what are you going to repair at? The most rewarding thing which I feel is that when the watch is fully finished, and when I see that same quality when my sir taught me back in the day that you need to fulfill, and I'm being able to achieve that same thing by my team, giving that same kind of mindset and skill set, and to get that I always dreamt of having that kind of skill set in India. That satisfaction that gives me, and with the same satisfaction, the customer when sees his watch and he's impressed, Harman, you have done a fantastic job, and even in case where the authorized brands have not been able to do it. So it gives me a lot of pleasure and it feels a lot rewarding for me. So when you speak about a favorite piece, I'm a sucker for when you say the polishing of the mechanical movements. Like I have a few favorite brands that I really enjoy working on, because you have to be very careful while working on them. But they are so beautiful to look at. Not from the top side, from the back side is one of those Brigade. Then second is Langa, where there's hand polish. It's just that you have to take care like a baby with them, that they don't get scratched. And I really enjoy seeing the the finish what they provide. In the world of digital era, watch is the only thing left which is mechanical. And why everybody is going towards mechanical watches is just that there's a lot of history towards it. When you think about the brands, even the techniques of manufacturing the movements. Yes, it has been industrialized, but many independent brands are also following the same 1800s traditional way to manufacture a watch. One question that I always get, that Harman, which watch should I buy? It's in any price point, maybe 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, even 50,000. One thing I have to say, watches is something that, to be honest, is not a necessity anymore. It's more of an accessory. It tells about you. It tells about your personality when you're wearing a watch. Some watches are worth investing, but I don't think so. Watch is not such a commodity that you should look for investment. If you want to do investment, buy a gold. That will be a better option. So, because if you're wearing a watch, you really need to appreciate the legacy, the history that the brand gives you, and you should admire while wearing it. And whenever you're wearing a watch, you should always look at the time, and it also tells you your time, that when you bought it, and gets you all the memories of back in the day when you purchased it. So I came back from Switzerland and came back to Delhi, and I came with a surprise that we got COVID, and it was the first season, I would say, of a COVID that happened. But going fast forward, I think post the COVID got settled, then I started the repair hub, made some renovation and thing. Now this is how it looks today. The repair hub is now one of the leading independent after-sales service centers in India. We have also started another vertical, which is our pre-owned, because how luxury watches have become very, very expensive. But there are also watches which people don't wear it anymore, and they want to upgrade to another watch. But there are a lot of discrepancies when you buy a pre-owned watch. So people are, they want a person from where they can rely and buy a second-hand pre-owned watches. So that's something we have pitched on now. So we have all those, Omegas, Rolexes, any brands which you require for, we can authenticate for you, or else you can buy from us. So a typical day in my life is where I am, just wake up and my first thing is to have a cup of coffee. I'm a very newbie in a coffee world, but I really enjoy. So I brew my coffee in the morning, enjoy. I love to have my own time. That's my me time, that I don't want to miss it. And so yeah, that's those 20 minutes is something I look forward in the morning. Rest is something that I later spend time with my daughter. She's just about 8 months old today, so which I really appreciate and enjoy. Once you have a child, then you feel that feeling of it, but it's a pleasant one. So yeah, then after that I just get ready, go to my work work is usually, when till the time I come to my office. So I have a schedule that, whatever, all the QCs of my business in my watches, I take care of before they dispatch to the customers. So I do all the quality checks, and then the watches pass on to my team, and then that takes usually 2 hours of my routine. Then later is something that I take care of the marketing as well. So I usually have my calls with one of my other marketing teams, that is what is the next content which is going forward, because that is something that I love to share with people, because watches is just a commodity for people, but at times it is a lot of knowledge that people want to know. I have met a lot of collectors. I know people what I feel, like how I feel for watches, people also feel the same way. And so I love sharing my knowledge, whatever I can, when it comes to brands, or maybe it comes to anything related to mechanical watches. I try to do that, so mostly working on those grounds. So yeah, that's usually on the day, and repairing my watches is also something that I have to do. Meaning, but my major job when it's also come to solve my technician problems, because I've built it my team in a certain way, such a way that I always say them, I am the mind, you're my hands. So because my teachings has been passed on to them, so I help them the problem solving. If there's an issue, we discuss, we talk, and I have built like a family structure, because if something is something like I know today, my team would know that skill set. Nobody, like, I don't hide anything with them, and I've also made that rapport with everybody. Like, if something skill set of their experience that they have, they should share with us, because that's how the company will grow, and everybody in the company will grow individually as well. So, being an entrepreneur, you have a lot of jobs, and it's not a very big organization. I have so many departments. So obviously I'm one person who's doing multiple jobs. So there's a lot of stress. So maybe I have a certain set of my own clients. I have to, I am the only communication to them, and I have to take care of my watchmakers team, and there's sometimes I have to do the purchasing as well. But still, I mean, it gets stressful at times, when you have timeline commitments, because watches, after sales service, there's a commitment that you'd give that, in certain period of time, we'll give you the watch back. But there are some delays that happen which are not on my control. So it gives me stress. So to get rid of that stress, I start repairing watches. That is the only time that's the most of the time I sit, open the watch, I start repairing at home, like at work, like I do start at 8 o'clock at night, probably working till 2-3 a.m. So that's something that eases my stress, because I think to get rid of stress is to work on it rather than running away. That's how I think. In 2023, I started providing these horology masterclasses. So what was the motive of these masterclasses? It was to educate people, because a lot of people were wearing watches, buying Rolexes, buying all the brands of the world, but didn't know what goes inside of it. I have experienced a lot of people coming कि just इसमें battery change कर दो, but वो होती mechanical थी. So the point was there was lack of knowledge. So I thought, what, I took it as a responsibility, I would say, because I thought, people should know what they have while they're buying a watch. So I started this horological masterclass where people get to know the better understanding of a watch, and I also covering, to know what is inside the mechanical movement, so they can experience themselves by hand to hand, dismantle, remove those small parts of a watch and put it back together. And obviously there are a lot of enthusiasts which also attracts, which I cover all the questions, because fortunately I have that bandwidth and understanding when it comes to these watches. I have few watches, but my mood is very changing. Like sometimes when I started, I wanted to own, this is my first luxury watch by the way I'm wearing. It's very special to me. I never thought it the way now I think the watches are, because because now more I talk about it, now I feel, because it just reminds me of the day when I bought it. And yeah, it's just something, and I'm never going to sell it, because this is going to always be there. So speaking of watches, yes, I have a few watches. Earlier I have a Rolex as well. I have a GMT Master 2 in a two-tone. Then I have my old watches as well, which as a child, when my dad was the distributor of fashion watches, I have those Esprit, I have those like Guess watches. I have so many of them. I mean, they're still cool watches. If you look at them, they're quite fun to wear. But yeah, now my category has changed. But yeah, I still at times wear them, because it reminds me of those young days when I was just wearing watches for fun and cool. That was not my profession. So unwinding is very important for me, because I love working and I really do out of passion. But when if I don't enjoy most those 20 minutes, if I don't brew my coffee, spend time with my family, it feels incomplete. And we all are working and living this life to enjoy with happiness in life. So that's something I really believe on, because happiness है तो सब कुछ है.